Hi, everybody. This is day 1600 and oh, my light's not even on. Hold on. Let me put my light on. Okay. It's been a crazy day. 1661 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered on Fort Bliss. Richard Halliday, the whistleblower, the Fort Bliss whistleblower soldier who was murdered for reporting criminal trafficking, exposing the corruption there on Fort Bliss, the supply chain, and he was murdered in the line of duty, quote unquote. That was confirmed by the Department of Defense. And that was in 2020, and we have been working very hard ever since. And it is a really curious, or not curious, but also criminal line of duty, quote unquote, criminal, that we have to be breaking all this news all the time, because we're investigating, getting to the bottom of what happened to our son. We want accountability for those who murdered him, for the cover up, and we, of course, want our son's remains. We want our son's remains. You know what they did to him, and he was right all along, right? He was right all along. Um, and he was right all along with President Trump. President Trump was right all along. And Judge Roger Rodriguez was right all along. Um, and I call them the Magnificent. The Magnificent. I call my husband the Magnificent. Behind the scenes, it takes someone super special to do all the work behind the scenes. And magnificent, magnificent. And so we have again breaking news. And I've been uh, letting that out of the bag, for the last week or so. Wanting to get the open records, of course. We had to receive the open records in a different way, um, absolutely legally, but a wonderful watchdog for Texas. Um, it's just, we've got to have the rule of law in this country. And we have to have those that are supposed to be doing their job, like the media. Why do we have to do the media's job? Why are we doing the CID's job? Why are we doing uh, the job of the command there? The Fort Bliss command. Look, we've always been pro-Army. We've always been. Our family has a collective years, almost 80 years, collective years. We are patriots. We want the rule of law. We want free and fair elections. We want the First Amendment. We want the Second Amendment. We love that Texas Constitution. Let me tell you, that Texas Constitution is so beautiful. People in Texas, well, I lived in Texas. I grew up in Texas. Absolutely, you just, wow, you understand why Texas is such a proud state, because they have the Texas Constitution along with the United States of America Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Now we have MAGA. Now we have MAGA. Now we have President Trump. President Trump the Magnificent. That's what's happening right now. That is why the breaking news stories are coming out so fast we can't even keep up with all the corroboration of our evidence that we are putting together to get accountability for the murder of our son. And thank you, Anicia, for coming on. Thank you, Danielle, for coming on. And I'm burning the midnight oil again. But you can imagine we wanted to make sure that um, the right people knew about this before, that we absolutely submitted a complaint um, for an investigation and prosecution of this absolute dereliction of duty, this lack of oversight. And there's many involved here. Look at how long Bill Hicks was allowed. He was allowed to finish everything up. He was a usurper. I was calling it out over and over and over again every day. The usurper Bill Hicks made memes, made a song. You're not the DA. You didn't sign the anti-bribe line, right? I mean, eh, you know, over and over again. And where is the media? Where is the media to join in? Where is their patriotism? And it's not about money, because we have given them stories that would give them so much attention, which would raise their ratings, which would raise their ads, which would raise their bottom lines. And yet, they can't say Richard Halliday's name. They can't report on the criminal activity there in El Paso that would expose the big T group, right? The criminal T group. The criminal T group that likes to traffic in that vitamin F. That's I've been told that's how I have to say all this. Because now the cartels have been labeled the T group. The T group that likes to traffic in the vitamin F and many, many other things. We have hundreds of thousands of children that are missing, that were taken. They call them unaccompanied. You don't have hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied children just walking around. You just don't have that. These are taken children, right? And now, okay, they can find a few tens or 10,000 here, 10,000 here, maybe 70,000. But we're talking about hundreds of thousands. And it's heartbreaking, because where is the pounding of the media to get a legitimate district attorney in that office? Right now, the media needs to be on the horn with Yvonne Rosales. They need to be calling Yvonne Rosales. The people of El Paso need to be calling Yvonne Rosales, because right at this moment, whether she likes it or not, whether she resigned in duress or not, it doesn't matter. Under the beautiful Texas Constitution, she is the holdover district attorney. And the 34th Judicial District cannot be empty. It cannot be vacant, right? It cannot be vacant. She has to put on her heels. She has to hold up her head high. She is the duly elected district attorney. She got the votes of all those people, hundreds of thousands of votes. Isn't it hundreds of thousands? Is it 100,000, 200? How many votes did she get? It was a lot of votes because she beat James Montoya out, who was Jaime Esparza's man, right? Jaime Esparza's assistant district attorney, where Michael Gianni Maiella was doing his intern with, right? The courthouse manager's son was doing the intern with Jaime Esparza and James Montoya. And Yvonne Rosales beat James Montoya. She got in there. She got the votes. Where is she? And why do I get excited about this? Why do I demand that everyone needs to be calling her? Because we need a district attorney in that office to run that office, to prosecute these criminals. Leilani Hart needs to be arrested. There is no, it's so sure that she has to be arrested. Her crimes are so egregious and so well documented. They are so well documented and reported already and filed already that she has to be arrested. And I'll give you all her names. But why isn't that out in the press? Why isn't the press, why isn't Kacherga calling for the arrest of Leilani Hart? I thought she cared. But no, she was with Bob Moore, using this convicted criminal with this long criminal history that dates back before Richard was even born to develop to a fake story, right? To produce a fake story, fabricate a story. That's the word I was looking for. Fabricate a fake story to target and retaliate against our prime witness who identified her. They used the very criminal that was identified by Judge Roger Rodriguez as prime suspects in the murder of our son. In order to fabricate a fake story to retaliate and intimidate and discredit the witness whistleblower, Judge Roger Rodriguez. This is what I've heard, a very, very respected, the only MAGA judge on the border who has a CV that will knock your socks off. And the media doesn't have his back. Now we know why Judge Guadarrama didn't have his back. Because he himself was sitting in the federal courthouse with Patrick Crusius's family and keeping it from the people of El Paso, letting the narrative, the fabricated narrative, be that Patrick Crusius was falsely, they falsely painted him as a racist, falsely painted him as a white supremacist, falsely painted him as not being an outsider, not having anyone in El Paso. Yet, Judge Guadarrama is sitting there on the bench over Patrick Crusius's case, letting those fabricated lies be told while he's with the family every day of Patrick Crusius. He's with their family. He's listening to them say, oh, what kind of music should we have at our wedding? Oh, what kind of flowers? Oh, we're going to go have a dress fitting. Oh, we're going to go have, tasting of wedding cakes. Oh, we're going to look at all our pamphlets for our honeymoon. The Maya Crucius honeymoon. Where do we want to go? Hoo, hoo, hoo. And they have Patrick Crucius going through this, being in isolation with a bunch of lies. No justice. And if Angela Kacherga and Bob Moore knew the whole time. Bob knew as early as the 29th of July, before then, 2020, that this was going on. They don't care about the people of El Paso. They will let this divisive narrative go to divide the community for political reasons, to protect El Paso Community Foundation, and thwart any kind of transparency or investigation into the Walmart victims funds, which Walmart mass shooting victims funds, which was over $12 million. And here we have James Montoya. Here we have a DA's office for years now that cannot legitimately prosecute, that are hamstrung, that are, so busy covering up, that they can't do their job. And they were bleeding attorneys, because the attorneys get in there, like Loretta Lynn Hewitt, and they're like, what do you mean? I'm in charge of this case, but I'm not allowed to look at the case? I'm not included in the meetings for this case? You're taking away my notebooks so that I can't tell people what's going on in this case? When I went up to Dallas and they're saying, oh, Patrick Crusius, when he was 3, was beating his head on the sidewalk. The parents were being told, you shouldn't have even let him live. Her notebooks were taken away from her, which she worked hard for. She resigned in protest, having to go to press. Thank God that there was an article about her resignation. We learned a lot from that article. And so now we have Montoya, who was on the Walmart case from the beginning with Jaime Esparza. Did James Montoya know about what was going on, about this orchestrated Walmart mass shooting, the divisive narrative that was fabricated? And did he know that the media knew about this? Did he read the 29? Because all we did was read the article on 29/2020 in the El Paso Matters. That's all we did. You mean nobody else can do that? You mean no investigators for the Walmart case are doing that? No one else is doing that for the courthouses? No one else can do this and say, wait a minute, there's something wrong? And what about James Montoya's installation? Look, after going years with Bill Hicks and seeing the disaster and seeing, with President Trump, he makes promises and he keeps his promises. Promises made, promises kept. Promises made, promises kept. Make America great again. Right? He's working very, very hard to make life very good. I'm hearing potholes are being filled. I'm hearing, especially being here in South Carolina and still seeing all kinds of trees down and everything here, lines down because all the workers needed to go up to North Carolina and Tennessee and into Georgia where the conditions were even worse and they weren't getting the help from FEMA. FEMA was spending what, $58 million for luxury hotels for um, illegal aliens. Sorry, we have our own people. That storm was horrendous and it's cold and they didn't get any help. Now we're hearing 80% of it in a matter of days, really days. They're getting help now. And they clawed back that FEMA money to be used for what it's meant to be used for. Like what happened in Georgia, North Carolina, here in South Carolina, and up in Tennessee. We have trees down, and we had a lot of trees down. You should see all of our mulch. There's so much mulch right now. But this is what's happening in El Paso is unnecessary. That's my point. You have major media there that are regulated and they're culpable. They're culpable for what is going on. That the Gold Star family of Richard Halliday has to break these stories. And the thing is we've been giving them the stories. We have been writing them. We have been notifying them. We have been notifying the courthouse. We've been notifying the law enforcement. We've been notifying anybody, everybody. We we're not looking for glory here. We're looking for a district attorney that will prosecute, that will take the evidence that we have collected over these years, that they will document it, they will investigate it, document it, file it, prosecute it. They will identify the crimes and they will prosecute them. That is what we're looking for. And if we have a broken DA system in El Paso, that's inexcusable, because then it's not just our family, it's all these other families that are not getting justice. And then we have real conflicts of interest between the quid pro quo situation between the media and the federal courthouse. It's a big problem. And then you have Jaime Esparza with his conflict of interest with the Walmart case where he was screened from it. Why is he still the Attorney General for the Western District of Texas? Why is he? He was put in that place by, oh my gosh, criminal Veronica Escobar. Given over $1 billion, still went into debt. She has no intention to make America great again. That's not her intention. She doesn't even work for her constituents, because if she worked for her constituents, she would never allow a illegal, unqualified individual to be the chief medical examiner. She would have called a hearing when instead of intimidation, when a soldier came forward that has information about Richard's case and called for a congressional hearing, a congressional investigation, he got harassed. That is a dereliction of her duty. That she's so criminal. And Jaime Esparza is her appointment, her how he got in there. That special phone call. Why is he still there? Because he's screened. He has a real problem with the Walmart mass shooting case, which means he would have a problem with our son's case because our son's case is intertwined with the Walmart mass shooting case. And why hasn't FBI John Morales arrested Leilani Hart? He needs to arrest Leilani Hart. What's going on in the FBI? I was very happy to see that arrest of the CBP. It was, and of course it was FBI agent John Morales that was in charge of that arrest. But he has so much documented evidence against Leilani Hart, he needs to arrest her. Okay, so let's talk about these. See if I can move my chair up a little bit more. Um, talk about these forms. And I have them here. And let me see if I. So these forms, I know them very well now. The first one for our complaint against James Montoya. Now, does that make us happy? No. We wanted him to be. We've been riding him. Now, before, when he was a candidate, we wrote the candidates to let them know who we were, what we wanted. You know, uh, if he was the proper district attorney, we would work with him so that he could identify the crime and document it and prosecute it, right? That's his whole purpose. And, but first we have to know, uh, is he legitimate? Because Bill Hicks wasn't. And that explained a lot of things. And one thing that I've just learned through doing this is that there are forms that these officials have to fill out. They have to fill them out in a certain order. And it makes, according to the Texas Constitution, Article 16, Section 1, right? That is where you can find it. And, there's then forms that you can use to fill this out. They make it very easy. There's not a lot of things that you have to do. And the first thing you need to do that's required is sign the statement of officer. Now, this form that James Montoya filled out is called the Statement of Elected Appointed Officers, right? Okay, whatever. It doesn't seem to be the proper form. The proper form is 2201, Form 2201, right? And you can just Google it, you can find it, and I don't know why. And the thing is we've looked at a lot of these. You don't have to have a notary on it. Why his form has a notary is the strangest thing. And the notary itself is strange, right? The notary itself is strange. It's like weird that it's on the same date, different year, same date, expiration date. Anyway, it's just, and who is this person? This is a HR worker. And anyway, so that is an anomaly on the form that doesn't have to be there. So the form itself is, uh, to us, not the proper form, right? And they work for us, right? They work for us. And so, it's like, why are you using that form? You need to use it the way we understand it, the way it's explained online. Come on. You know, um, anyway, uh, so this government is for the people, by the people, of the people, right? So we have to scrutinize these people that we entrust with so much. And the form is off. The notary, I don't know why it's there. It's not supposed to be there. It's like, is it supposed to give some kind of validation to it or something? I don't know. It's not necessary. His signature is what is necessary. The stamp by the Secretary of State is necessary. But that stamp is also a little off because it doesn't have a time on it. I don't know if they have the time on it, but normally they always have the time on it. Just like the stamp below it that's dated 2028. Someone's going to prison for that one because that's clearly tampered with, right? But it says November 13th, right? 2024 that he signed it. Like right after he won, he just wanted to go and sign the anti-bribe statement. That's fine. But signing it is not the only thing you have to do. What you have to do is fax it in. Fax it in. It has to be lodged at the Secretary of State before you take the oath of office. This has to be turned in. From what we understand, you turn that in first. Why didn't he send it in to the Secretary of State? He had all that time. And the other thing is when they did get it, they stamped it January 6th. Well, he was sworn in on the 1st of January. He was sworn in by Judge Guadarrama on the 1st of January in the park, right? It was all over the news. So there's all these anomalies from this. It's clearly that it needs to be investigated, right? Clearly. And then you have the other form. Let me see if I have that too, which is the oath of office itself. And the oath of office is like, really? What's going on here? I should know how to do this better. Okay, so this oath of office also looks like the wrong form. And I did on the Facebook and X and other places, I put up the forms. This form would be 2204. 2204. And you can look it up. Oath of office for Texas, form 2204, and it'll pop right up. And this form is very strange because it has a seal. It's mixing two jurisdictions together. It's saying El Paso County, Texas, but then it says the state of Texas. So that's two different jurisdictions. Forms are never like that. This is very, very weird. Of course, there's January 6th. That's a wrong. Well, it's probably the right date. January 6th is a right date. but the wrong date, what I meant by that is the wrong date, meaning it needed to be January. Well, no, that's fine. January. Well, he got sworn in January 1st. That's what it was. It should have said January 1st, right? So did he not get sworn in on January 1st? He got sworn in. It was reported. It was seen. There was media. So why is it not turned into okay, so give him that. But there's no time on it, which is really weird, and the form is really weird. So it seems to be very fraudulent. And then what is strange is that uh subscribed uh the subscribed line there is supposed to be James Montoya's name, and it has first of the first. Um, yeah, that seems really strange. And I don't know about you, but it seems like Judge Waterama was a little shaky, and with that clear mistake there. So, and so that's that form. Can you believe it? Can you believe that we have to do this kind of investigation? But there is enough wrong there, and we've talked to many, many people that he didn't install right. James Montoya did not install to the position correctly. Therefore, the holdover district attorney for the 34th Judicial District, which was another thing on the form. You're not a district attorney, you're the 34th Judicial District Attorney. So the holdover right now is Yvonne Rosales. I hope her phone is ringing off the hook. I hope it is, because we need her. We need her. We have a botched federal judicial courthouse, a botched federal courthouse. We have a botched El Paso criminal law magistrate. We have a botched chief medical examiner. We need Yvonne Rosales to take her rightful place. And we have a botched media, a very botched media. And that just tells you that President Trump was right all along. He started calling them fake news. He started complaining about them with the fake news. He was right all along. Is there an emergency? Yes, there is. Judge Roger Rodriguez was right all along. There's an emergency. There's crime has been allowed to pay. And so the recruiting for the criminals has been high numbers. And that's because the justice system and the criminal law enforcement system has been compromised. This is our country. And this is the beautiful city of El Paso, right there on the border. I love border cities. We can't, it has so much to offer. Veronica Escobar has absolutely failed. And so this doesn't make me happy about James Montoya. It doesn't make me happy about Veronica Escobar. It doesn't make me happy about Mario Raskin Ortiz. Their failure doesn't make me happy because so many people get hurt, including our son. It's the breach in the security. It's the letting the crime pay and get hold of our system so that they can fine tune their criminal networks so they can absolutely do major harm. Major harm. Steal, kill, and whatnot. I was trying to, because I was talking to a friend and they were saying, you have uncovered so much breaking news. What have you uncovered? And we're like, oh well, I guess Nadal Baim, the FBI man, discovering whom he was, and Belen Rocha, and of course the PI guy discovering that he was up to no good, and um, the canine, all of these scams that were uh, brought to us, and 3905 Bliss Avenue with Danae Katzen, who, is family to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. Why is the family of Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, why are they in possession of Richard's credit cards after he was murdered? Um, of course, the huge criminal law magistrate court, which is, that that took us days to wrap our heads around what was going on with why Penny Hamilton was who she was, because she absolutely needs to be arrested. She's such a criminal. And how did she get away with it and everything? And, then you realize that she was an imposter, that she was, just impersonating a judge. She had no authority. And so where did she get that power from? That's what investigators need to look into. And then you look into the 2015 change from a partial countywide jurisdiction to a full countywide jurisdiction, and then you look into what does the Texas Constitution say about a full um, countywide jurisdiction, and it's like, oh, they need to be elected. Okay, they need to be elected. Why aren't they elected? Why are they appointed? Who's appointing them? Why are they the ones being appointed? What are their conflicts of interest? And they magistrated Patrick Crucius. They put Richard in jail without authority as a retaliation. And they assigned Ray Velarde, El Mayo's attorney, to be Richard's attorney. And of course, it was dismissed. And when it was dismissed because of the military abusing their power and retaliating against Richard with everything that they possibly had in their pocket. I mean, just everything. They just threw at him everything. And they even told us, they lied to us. They were even like, oh, we told him that um, we could give him 6 years in the brig if he went court martial, if he fought it. So they even intimidated him. We said, did you say that to Richard? Really? They were even intimidating him. This jag. And when Richard's case got dismissed, the 9th of July 2020, well, what were they going to do? Apologize for everything they had done? Reinstate everything that they had taken from him? Give him restitution for the harm that he had to go through, the mental harm and everything? What were they going to do? They're really criminal. They didn't choose the right way. They chose a premeditated murder. And we believe that that murder crime scene was in the basement room of his building, which happens to be the arms room, which happens to be the room that they, um, because we have the, before we even put in for open records, we already had it. And the general illegally gave the orders for that room to be renovated without following protocols, without any kind of limit on the funding. Open purse to renovate a basement room in a barracks. So yeah, my friend, they were like, "Oh my gosh, why has your family had to do this?" So they asked us. They told us. They told us. They didn't even ask. They told us. Um, Otherwise, they could not help us. And there's a lot. This murder. I want to make sure that everyone knows this because I haven't really said this. Maybe yesterday I said it. But Richard's murder is not just any kind of murder. It's a treasonous murder. It's a treasonous murder. They committed treason and they committed murder. And so that that needs to be absolutely understood by everybody. And I think that because of what Doge is doing, what President Trump is doing, what Pam Bondi will discover, hip hip hooray, we have Tulsi Gabbard now in charge of intelligence. Was Richard's gun being stored in the arms room? His rifle was being stored in the arms room. They had his rifle. And we have his rifle now. We don't know where his pistol is. We have the pistol serial number. But his rifle was stored in the arms room. Um, and of course, Rob, we have the video of Rob picking that weapon up from the command legally and sending it to Florida. So it is, it's all coming out. And it didn't have to be this difficult. We spend millions and millions of dollars for our law enforcement. They need to do their job. FBI Jesus Eddie Nieto leaked, and not only leaked the whistleblower complaint against Tavita Nusa and Leilani Hart, but also leaked Judge Roger Rodriguez's name to them. That was a double leak. And Michael Gianni Maela, the courthouse manager's son, was in the FBI doing an intern with him. And then he was at Walmart working on security, where security had failed. Something is not right because Michael Maela, both of them, are family to Patrick Crusius. I'm even wondering about Brian Blake Crusius. because look what they did. Look what they've done. And now the case is so botched. It is in the freezer. It's frozen. And the victims and the victims' families, the victims, and because there are survivors, the victims and the victims' families now have to wait until 2028. 2028, maybe 2029 now, before this gets resolved. And it's unnecessary. So thank you so much, everyone. God bless you. Thank you for coming on, Danielle and Martha and Anicia, for your prayers and your love. And, a lot of good things are happening behind the scenes. Just, we're probably going to have some big announcements again. So thank you so much. God bless you. And I'll be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye bye.